And now Ken introduces us again.
I do. Hello, folks. Welcome to the IoT Time podcast. I am Ken Briodagh, editorial director for IoTEvolutionWorld.com, and here on the IoT Time podcast, we talk about all the coolest things in the IoT. Today, it's a very special episode for you. We are here at the IoT Evolution Expo Exhibit Hall Theater, live shooting our episode here on video for the first time ever. And in this episode, we're going to talk about connected transportation. I'm here with my friend Carl Ford. And Carl and I are going to take the next 10 minutes or so and solve all of the issues, logistical, technological, and metaphysical, in the connected transportation system. This means supply chain, cold chain, automated vehicles. Apparently, Tesla just did something terrible. And Carl really wants to talk about Uber, so I'm going to give him about 2 minutes to do that because he's a total fangirl on it. But Carl, what is the biggest problem facing an actual connected transportation infrastructure, at least in the United States?
I don't think there is one. I think right now we're at an ideal situation. We've got NIST pushing smart cities. We've got over 13 different companies making automated vehicles in California. We got various state activities in each individual state. I think we are probably in the prime time. I can tell you that back in New Jersey, my beloved New Jersey Transit, that didn't know where the hell to put the buses and the trains when Sandy came, but we'll ignore that fact, are now really into getting the connected transport working. So I have high hopes.
Don't worry, Chris Christie will find a way to bog it down.
No, that's a bridge.
Oh, that's right, it should be fine. Well, here's my thing with connected transportation, and I think it's a hurdle that we need to get past quickly, and it's the raw infrastructure problem. The United States has an infrastructure problem in general in terms of its roads. They're crumbling because, we didn't think it was necessary to maintain that shit. But in order to get to a connected transportation system, we need our automated cars to be able to see around corners. We need them to be able to communicate with each other. That's going to involve a lot of logistical work from the OEMs, from the Department of Transportation people, government officials. There's a lot of negotiation that has to happen there in order for any of this to actually get started in a systemic way. And you disagree.
It's simple. Shame. Shame works. Let me give you two examples in New Jersey.
Please,
okay?
Try to shame me. I dare you.
No, well, the first is in the small little shuttle town that I live in of Fair Lawn, New Jersey. There was big efforts to make a municipal Wi-Fi service, and I pointed out the fact that the community bus that we had was circa 1958, right? It looked like it belonged in Cuba, right? Part of the Godfather scenes, right? Going around the neighborhood picking up all the senior citizens, right? And I made a blog post about that. Other people pointed it out to the town, and guess what? We have a new bus. Okay.
Is your new bus smart?
My new bus is not smart. They didn't have smart buses. It was only 2 years ago, so they weren't ready yet. Okay. But then we had also in the state of New Jersey one of the worst roads, right? And CBS talked about that road ad nauseum, okay, as the Baja of New Jersey.
Sounds exciting.
And guess what? They fixed the road, right? The Palisades Interstate Park. You just have to shame people, and they will make it so that they get what you need.
All right, so we need to hire everybody's mom to start calling their senators. No, it's fine. Don't fix the road. I'll be over here. I'll just die soon. It's all right. Don't worry about it. You think that's the actual strategy we should go with, Carl?
I think that helps, okay? Now, the other thing, though, just to be clear, right? We got the winner of the overall show, just Darva Networks, right?
Yes, very impressive guys.
They showed us a connected bus, right?
They did. The wheel fell off as they took it off stage, but we won't talk about that.
Okay, that was the model bus, but they also showed the guy who was talking to another show other than ours, and we still let him win. Shows you how good we are.
That's right. We're totally ecumenical.
And basically, what did we do with that, right? They made it so that all the kids could use the Wi-Fi, and at the same time, they got to manage the fleet of buses for the school system. And guess what? It was a rural school system. It wasn't, some place where there's a lot of density. It's a place where, you had lots and lots of space.
So there's an interesting case happening in St. Louis, I believe it is, where they're dealing with their trucking infrastructure. They've got a lot of shipping that goes. It's a major hub for the trucking industry, and they're trying to sort out traffic problems. They've got a similar problem in Amsterdam that they worked out with the port of Amsterdam, getting trucks in and out in a timely fashion. So they set up really excellent monitoring systems between the trucks and the hubs where they need to get into, and they've basically solved this issue. And they did it in a way that everybody won, essentially. The trucking companies were more efficient, so they're making more money, their drivers are doing better, the city's getting what they need in a faster and more efficient manner. But it doesn't seem to be replicating itself. There's very few cases. Is that just because we're early, or is there something in the way?
You know, I don't think people understand life cycles as well as they should for things, right?
When mommy and daddy love each other very much.
The world doesn't move at everybody flash cuts, right? People have a tendency to migrate, right, with their technologies, and particularly anything that's capital intensive, right? So I think what you're dealing with is just the fact that some people are going to be early adopters. Some of us are going to sit there and say, okay, I've got to build a budget for us. Some parents are going to have to get involved and say, shame on you that you're not spending the money. And the next thing you know, you're going to have the technology change. But it's not going to be a flash cut.
Well, you just said something very interesting. Capitals is a sort of a problem here. This is not a cheap space. Who in the hell is going to pay for all this? Where is the initial capital outlay going to happen in terms of establishing smart roads, smart vehicles, smart public transportation, Uber, ride sharing, all this stuff that needs to happen in order to get an actual transportation grid happening?
So I want to scare you with history.
I'm terrified.
Okay, good. So here's the scare tactic. Okay, modems. Okay.
Ooh, now I'm scared.
Dial-up modems. Okay, Cisco used to make a beautiful 5500 and 1750 dial-up modem, right?
Yeah, that's 56K.
Yeah. Now you know what the issue was?
It was 56K?
No, the issue was the fact that they knew that broadband was coming, and do you want to sit there and maximize your production to get as much modems out there as the industry wants when you know for a fact that at some point this market is collapsing? Now, if we believe in autonomous connected vehicles,
and we do,
okay,
don't we?
Then the issue you face is that do you want to sit there and maximize production to make the last Ford Explorer that gets bought as a solo item?
Oh, maybe they'll make the last Ford
coming?
Explorer soon. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
So now you got the situation where you know that autonomous vehicles are coming, and you don't want to be stuck in the situation where, number one, you're building the wrong vehicle, right? Which is why GM made the relationship with Lynx, right? You want to be there and you want to optimize your downtime to make it so that you make the transition gradually. So the issue with capital changes tremendously because now all of a sudden vehicles are expenses rather than capital, right? And now who's prepared for that on a budget cycle? Not my,
Me neither.
So we got some real shaming issues to go through first.
Okay, so Carl, I want you to call out some winners and losers here as we get near the end. Which of the OEMs, especially in the automaker world, are doing this well, are ready for this transition, and which are behind the curve?
Tesla's getting a lot of crap right now about.
That's cheating.
Well, but no, there's an important aspect of Tesla that people don't know, which is that they run that car with about, I think it's something in the neighborhood of 40 million lines of code. Okay?
At least.
The other companies, the Peugeots, the BMWs, those kind of guys, have something in the neighborhood of 400 million lines of code. Okay? Now, given what we know about hacks,
I believe what you're about to say is that on a long enough time scale, everything will fail.
No, I'm saying that efficient code is going to be the key to success for these people. Okay? And Tesla's way ahead of the curve from the larger companies that have been in the business for quite some time.
Yes.
So, we're going to keep hearing about companies that have problems where somebody's hacked the car and driven it into a lake or, done something worse.
So your cowardly attempt to dodge my question aside, Other than Tesla, who's doing this well?
I think Lyft has got a good chance of actually making some inroads.
That's not
with
a
some
car
people.
manufacturer, Carl. Answer the question.
No, but they are making partnerships with those guys. Okay, so I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I think Ford's actually done some interesting things.
Shill.
I'm wondering about the other electric cars. I haven't, we don't talk about Nissan and Peugeot anymore. But
but Nissan's doing some really interesting things with the Leaf there, and
right.
I actually think that Mercedes is doing really interesting things
Right.
too. But of course, they're doing it for way more money than anybody else somehow.
As is Audi as well, and then we're
So who's behind the curve?
The largest connected deployment right now is probably still GM with OnStar.
Yeah, you're probably right. Although again, Ford will say that My Sync is the same size, but I don't think that's accurate. Who's not doing it well? Who's behind the curve? Volkswagen for starters.
Yeah, well, no, you see now. Let's call a spade a spade. That was a phishing code to know when you were being tested, right? I mean, let's give them credit for that.
All right, to be fair, they did know what was going on. They were just, oh wait, hold on, I'm actually broadcasting this. I can't say that word.
So they're contextual aware. I think it's kind of early to tell. I think the real problem is that the companies that like Volkswagen that have lost billions are behind the eight ball on how to manage the cash flow change, because ultimately it's a cash flow problem, right? But here's the funny thing. I was watching CNBC today because we're from the East Coast, or we wake up early, and all the European car manufacturers are actually booming right now. So go figure.
Carl, I want you to know that I also got up early today, and you could have been watching House reruns instead of CNBC.
Damn.
Carl, tell the folks how they can find you on the worldwide interwebs.
Okay, so on Twitter, I'm always on Carl. I write for the Mobility Tech Zone, which we don't talk about enough.
Yeah, that's true.
And we also are on IoT Evolution Expo. And if you can't find me, I'm Carl at Crossfire Media. Please don't send to C4 at Crossfire Media. That's the account I use to send you email. It's not the one I use to receive email.
So what Carl is saying is that you want to sign him up for every newsletter that you can think of. You can find me on Twitter at Ken Briodagh or at IoT Evolution. Please tweet here at the IoT Evolution Expo with the hashtag IoT Evolution. Join us at IoTEvolutionWorld.com for all the news that's print to fit. And make sure that you, if you're not at the IoT Evolution Expo, get your ass to Vegas. Folks, that is all the IoT time we have for now.
Fort
Thank
Lauderdale.
you for joining us. Oh, yeah, no, come here now. Come to Fort Lauderdale in January. Thank you very much, folks. That's all the IoT time we have. Stop interrupting me. I'm trying to close the show. That is all the IoT time we have left. Thank you for joining us, folks.